Hi, this is Nat Hosenfeld with the Great Basin. This is our smoke dispersion briefing for Monday, October 2nd, 2017. We have finished doing our daily fire potential briefings, and we will now be issuing these smoke dispersion briefings every week on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday mornings. Looking at precipitation over the past 7 days, you can see that much of the Great Basin, with the exception of Nevada and portions of the Arizona Strip, did receive precipitation over the past week, but for the most part, this precipitation was below normal. Now that we've got snow in the higher elevations, we can start talking about snow. Kind of exciting. You can see over the last 72 hours, a fair amount of snow fell across the area. You can see many areas received in excess of 3 inches over the past 72 hours, mainly across the higher elevations. This image here on the right shows a snow depth, so you can get an idea of where that snow coverage is. And it's largely confined to the higher elevations of Idaho and Utah. The satellite this morning shows a large low pressure system in place across much of the Great Basin, which is resulting in the unsettled weather that we are seeing today. So for today, we do have that large low pressure system in place across much of the Great Basin. There is quite a bit of moisture in place across the northern part of the area. As far as the ventilation index, we're looking at good to excellent mixing across the entire Great Basin today. Looking at that in a little more detail, this image here on the left shows our transport winds. You can see they're pretty healthy across the north, which is leading to that good ventilation. And the mixing heights are also good to excellent, and so that's why we are seeing the good to excellent mixing across the Great Basin this afternoon. As we move into Tuesday, that low pressure cuts off and centers over western Nevada. We start to see a decline in the ventilation index across the eastern part of the Great Basin. That is due to some pretty light transport winds across the east. And so although mixing heights are decent, we have really light winds across the eastern part of the Great Basin, and that will lead to that decrease in mixing on Tuesday. And then as we move into Wednesday, we keep that low pressure in place across the northern part of the Great Basin. And you can see a little bit of decrease in the ventilation index across the west on Wednesday afternoon. Digging into that a little deeper, you can see transport winds will be pretty strong across eastern Utah, portions of the Arizona Strip on Wednesday, but pretty light elsewhere. And so that explains that decrease in the ventilation index for Wednesday. So looking at the 3-day Utah forecast clearing index, you can see excellent mixing is in the forecast for Utah for the next 3 days. And as far as precipitation over the next 3 days, nothing too significant is expected as far as accumulation. As we move into Thursday, that low pressure moves up over into Idaho, and so we see good to excellent mixing across the majority of the Great Basin on Thursday. High pressure starts to build on Friday across the Great Basin. You can see how the ventilation starts to decrease across the southwestern and western parts of the Great Basin with that building high pressure. Then as we move into Saturday, we are looking at some northerly flow across the area that will keep the ventilation index a little higher across portions of the north, but with some high pressure remaining in place across the west, we do continue to see those decreased ventilation index values across portions of western Nevada and western Utah. Finally, as we move into Sunday, we do keep that northerly flow in place with a little bit of ridging across the west, and so we will continue to see slightly lower ventilation index values across the western part of the Great Basin on Sunday. Looking at precipitation in the 4 to 5 day period, it looks pretty dry, not too much expected in the way of precipitation across the Great Basin. Finally, looking at the 8 to 14 day period, the Climate Prediction Center is calling for above normal temperatures across the southwestern part of the area, with below normal precipitation across the entire Great Basin. So that's it. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact us. Our information is on the screen, and you can also find us on Twitter. Thanks.